Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause here, and I apologize ahead of time because this is going to be an extremely annoying video. But there was a professor who made a belligerent appearance on Tucker Carlson Tonight, who's suspended indefinitely by Essex County College. And so, um, I could go over this article, but I'd rather let you actually see the video. So here we go.
Memorial Day is a great holiday for bringing Americans together, unless you decide to promote segregation while you do it. A Black Lives Matter group in New York City threw a Memorial Day party and barred anyone who was not black from attending. This is what they said: being intentional about being around black people is an act of resistance. This is an exclusively black space, so if you do not identify as black and want to come because you love black people, please respect the space and do not come.
So, this is the cool thing lately. It's the fad, the trend. I don't think this is going to last long because it looks horrible to, the majority of the public that's not absolutely batshit crazy. And, this happens in college a lot of times because the youth is, they're learning new things and they're trying to put it into their worldview. And I actually think, especially a lot of people who grow up that are black grow up in this culture that is it's more of a communist culture, more of a Marxist culture, and they teach like groupthink, and it really holds black people down long term, in my opinion, rather than most of the rest of society where the individualism is pushed, and it's not so much groupthink. It's about everybody being all they can be individually. And so and at first when you see quotes like this, that's like, do people really believe this stuff? But then when you listen to them talk, it's almost always worse than you expected. And we've seen that, people are starting to believe that these quotes are accurate now because we've seen, person after person be interviewed, and Tucker Carlson is doing a great line where he's basically just putting on crazy guests and say, here, talk. And he'll ask a couple questions and lets them answer, and he effectively lets them hang themselves with their own words. So let's watch how he does this. Watch how little Tucker Carlson actually talks. He just lets her go rant for the most of it.
Lisa Durden is a political commentator and Black Lives Matter supporter. She joins us tonight. Lisa, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Good to see you again. You're doing well.
Thank you. I was confused.
This is like not a nobody either. She's like, she makes regular appearances on media, on mainstream media. So this is not like it's just some random person that is being abused by a superior, anchor or something. Like, she's been through this. She's experienced, she's thought this stuff through, and it's just ridiculous.
By this, because I thought the whole point of Black Lives Matter, one of the points would be to speak out against singling people out.
Notice this is Black Lives Matter. We're finding out the true color. People were warning about this for a long time. So as that Black Lives Matter is not just, for equality for blacks. It's like there's a lot mixed in where it's a Marxist black separatist movement effectively that there's a lot of desire to overthrow society entirely, where they're anti-police to the extent that most of them, at least most of the leaders don't even want, or at least many of the leaders don't even want a police force left. And many of them want to create like a black ethno-state. They've allied with the Brown Berets, who have a long history of crazy ideas like wanting to take a bunch of American land and give it to Mexico, going back like, hundreds of years, where they say the U.S. illegally took land from Mexico. And the Brown Berets also want to overthrow the government. And they're more of a Latino group, though, where Black Lives Matter is more of the black version of it.
Out on the basis of their race and punishing them for that, because you can't control what your race is, and yet they seem.
By the way, the creators of Black Lives Matter, they weren't as bad as what Black Lives Matter has become, but they and they don't really agree with what Black Lives Matter is now, but they also have like their basically black supremacy ideas.
To be doing that. Explain that to me.
What I say to that is boo-hoo-hoo. You white people are angry because you couldn't use your white privilege card to get invited
Lisa.
to the Black Lives Matters all Black Memorial Day celebration.
You could, Tucker Carlson plays stupid, and sometimes, I actually think he was a little surprised by her reaction there. But this is, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he knew something like this could happen, but this is common now. We've seen it within the Democratic Party a lot with, the leaders. They're always saying, oh, poor white people, poor angry white people. Sometimes they'll throw in old, rich, angry white men or something like that. They'll put like a feminist twist on it. But, they can't. The reason they do this is, first, this is projection of their own anger and their own frustrations. Second, they don't really have a good response. If they had a good response, they would say it. Instead, they don't try to deal with the conversation. I mean, this is identity politics. It's power politics. They're not really interested in having a real conversation. And so they're not even going to deal with you on the, conversational level. They're not going to have a debate with you. They're going to try to deplatform you. And this is, all boo-hoo white people. They're not going to address your complaint. They're going to try to deplatform your complaint.
Wow. Let me contextualize that for you. Memorial Day was created by...
Yeah. Oh, boo-hoo white people. Let's see the context for this.
First of all, I don't want you to contextualize.
Right? I need to contextualize it because Memorial Day was created by black former slaves in 1865 to honor those individuals who were Union soldiers who fought and died for our freedom. So Black Lives Matter, in that same vein, decided to get together with
Union soldiers. Just think about the race of Union soldiers. There were many races, but what was the primary race of a Union soldier? White. So now, in the same sort of vein, you're going to try to, make some sort of Memorial Day exclusively black thing. It doesn't make any sense. Memorial Day is for everybody. Anybody can celebrate it, and many races gave up lives for it, including white people gave up lots of lives. And keep in mind too, she's gonna get into in the future here. She's gonna start talking about a white-black dichotomy, and then this is exclusively black. They're not only kicking out white people. They're kicking out Asian people. They're banning, Latinos. They're banning Native Americans. This is a black supremacist movement. They're trying to segregate themselves from society. And then, you see stuff like this and you wonder, why, when this is a culture that so many black people grow up in, why do black people struggle when they get older to, get jobs and stuff? There is an economic and a geopolitical aspect to that. But some of it is this culture that they're growing up in that is completely toxic and is actually could be considered child abuse, as it holds, it damages the potential of black people to be indoctrinated to think, like in this, black supremacist way.
Black folks.
I'm not going to let you filibuster past my question.
To make sure that black folks are celebrated for being murdered by racist terrorists.
I don't want to shut this down, but I will. Okay. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I just have a really simple question for you. If you don't like people excluding others on the basis of their race, and as a society we agree that that's bad. I agree it's bad, you agree it's bad. Then why are you doing it? And why are you defending it now?
White folks crack me up all of a sudden when we want to have one day for black folks to focus on ourselves, but you've been having...
Yeah, notice like their vitriol for white people is just ridiculous.
White day forever. You don't say the words anymore because you know it's politically incorrect. But you've had an
Okay, so get this. We have had a white day forever. We don't say the word because it's politically incorrect, but deep down she knows that we're all thinking it. And it's some sort of major conspiracy among white people against black people that we have our own white day every day. I mean, what in the hell is she talking about?
All white Oscars, all these movies with
all white Oscars. How have we as white people like controlled? Yeah, anybody can win an Oscar, and there are not lots of people that are minorities within Hollywood. And I don't even think it's true that Oscars have gone only to white people. I don't think that's true at all.
All white
well, if you don't like it, why are you perpetuating it?
All white actors in movie after movie after movie? That's not true. Like, it's first of all, did you know it's actually illegal to discriminate based on race? Yeah, even within movies, they can't actually like pick black people just because they're black, or they can't actually like pick black or pick like Latino actors or Asian actors just because of their race, or white actors just because of their race. That's illegal, and if that happens, you can sue for it. You can pick based on sex for like, and there are certain things that you can discriminate on, like sex, because if it's a woman role or something, then you can just you can fill it with that gender. But say it's like Amazonian Wonder Woman, you can have a white person play it, and you can't actually say a white person can't play a Wonder Woman because they're white. You just make the white person look Amazonian. And so if there's actors that are, black actors or Asian actors or Native American actors or whatever that are good actors, they can get any role.
All white TV shows with white casts over and over and over again. The Bachelorette, it took 11 seasons to have a black Bachelorette. Okay. Are you serious?
It's hard to believe. I hope you're not speaking for anyone else. I hope there aren't a lot of people in this country who agree with you.
Well, my name is Lisa Durden. I'm speaking for Lisa Durden.
I just hope there aren't people watching who agree with you. Because
you can you can cherry pick this stuff so easily, and even within the Bachelor and Bachelorette, what she's saying is like not even accurate, because, well, technically I think it's accurate, but it's misleading because the show has had lots of minorities, even if they haven't necessarily led. They've, like for instance, on The Bachelor, there have been all kinds of minority women who have been in the running to try and win over and get selected by The Bachelor, and vice versa. There have been many men who have been in the running that have been minorities to try to win over the Bachelorette. She's just saying the side that's the one of. On the Bachelorette side, there would, because obviously there's only one woman, so the head woman was only black one time in 11 seasons. It's not actually that, if you think about it, like what the population is, what percentage is actually black. So, you're talking about that 1 out of 11 would be like around 10% of the time they have a black woman as the Bachelorette. That's not that far off. And this is what she's cherry picking of like all the shows and all the different versions of the show and everything she has to choose from. That's what she's cherry picking.
What you're saying is so hostile and separatist and crazy. It's such a basic violation of what I thought we all agreed on, which is you don't attack people for things they can't control, namely their race.
It's not an attack. I'm stating the facts.
It's not an attack. White people, Asian people, Native American people, you just can't go into these black spaces. But it's not an attack.
People give weddings where they exclude children. It doesn't mean they don't like children. They don't know if your kids are going to be monsters and those kids are going to be well behaved. So in that same vein, Black Lives Matter decided to have one day where they didn't want white folks who were going to be off the rails. They don't know if you're going to be the ones behaved and for them or the ones who are there.
There's so much wrong with this argument. I mean, children are often like banned from things because they're a liability and inherently they're going to act out. It has nothing to do with being a good child or a bad child. It has to do with like children inherently, have greater needs and they cry more and, they need to be watched more. I mean, legally parents have obligations to them. So oftentimes it's, adults can act properly where children simply can't for that long of a period. And, if you're at a wedding or something, you don't want to have all these issues where some children aren't potty trained and things like that. You just don't want to deal with all that crap. And it's like, it really has nothing to do with like, these children are good and these children are bad, like monsters. And to compare this to like race, how does a group of children compared to a race of people?
They're against them. So
let me just ask you a quick question.
Go right ahead.
Do you think it's racist to exclude people on the basis of their skin color?
I think it's racist when you've been excluding people for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
So, if it's racist to exclude people for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, right? Then it's racist to exclude people, right? That's what you think? So why are you doing it? Of course, you're not going to answer his question here, but you pretty much showed your true colors. When you can't answer the question, power politics, attack the other group.
And stop with your silly lectures. I'm asking you a very simple question.
We're forced to come together collectively to celebrate ourselves because you guys won't. You are.
So black people are forced to come together collectively because white people won't allow black people in. While a black woman's talking to a white man on the media. Are you kidding me? I've got a black friend. Apparently, him and I don't hang out, I guess, because, black people and white people don't allow black people to hang out, and white people have all the power, don't you know? There's never a time where he can be like, hey, Drew, you want to hang out?
The larger society. Let's be real here.
You guys, I'm talking about what I thought we all believed. Let me ask you this. Do you think it would be fair if white people did come?
And, it's just white people are just against black people, for my Native American friends, it makes sense that I would, you know, want to hang out with them, and my Mexican friends, I'd hang out with them, and my Asian friends, you know, I'm willing to hang out with them. That all makes sense. But when it comes to black people, that's when I take a stand as a white person to not hang out with, because for some reason white people don't hang out with black people and don't allow black people in.
Come to a Black Lives Matter celebration.
They do all the time. When you look at Black Lives Matter,
do you use the same water fountain that they do?
And you see Black Lives Matter coming together collectively for different issues. You see people of all races. So we do accept them. This particular day, they said, "Stay your asses out. We want to celebrate today."
Just listen to how she says it. If you're not black, stay your asses out. They want to celebrate. And think about that. She's considering this a celebration. This is like, so when they want to celebrate, so when they aren't celebrating, you know, when they're doing things like work and activism and stuff, they'll allow other races in. But when it comes to celebration, all other races have to leave. Just think about how messed up that is.
Okay. We don't want anybody going against us today.
And you can't celebrate if someone who doesn't look like you is around?
Yes, you can, but you can also
demented,
say, I don't want
actually.
to do it. It's a personal
You're
choice.
Sick. And what you're saying is disgusting. And if you were a Nazi, I would say the same thing to you.
Luckily, I'm not a Nazi.
Because what you're saying...
She doesn't get the point. Yeah, obviously you're not a Nazi. You're like a black supremacist. You're the Nazi form of... But instead of white supremacy, you're black supremacy. I mean, you know, there's the thing, the first person to bring up the Nazis loses the argument on the internet. Here's where it's actually correct to bring up the comparison. Like, she literally is acting like a white supremacist, except it's just black supremacy. And, you know, the Nazis had their own ideology and all of that. In, you know, Black Lives Matter, they're building their own black ideology. They're very comparable.
Is indistinguishable from what they are saying, which is, I don't care your opinions, I don't care your views, your life experience, your intentions. All I care about is the way you look, something that you can't control. And on that basis alone, I'm judging you. And I'm...
Exactly. I was born white. I can't help it. And it doesn't matter what I do. I can't change the fact that I'm white. And so because of that, because of how I was born, she says that I can't go and celebrate with them.
Hostile to you. That's the case you're making, and it's divisive and wrong. And it's amazing that you didn't have to say that out loud, but I can't believe you're making the case you're making.
Unfortunately, when you have a racist society like America, you force individuals to come together collectively to make sure that they have a voice.
By the way, if you talk to people around the world, which I'm sure many of you have, the United States is viewed as largely the one country that, obviously we have our racial problems, but we've actually overcome racism to a large extent. Like, racism in the United States is not actually that high, despite having all of these different races that are intermingling, and sure, we get these like small pockets of different groups, and you know, black people still tend to stay around black people, white people still tend to be around white people, etc. But overall, the country functions very well with many races. And one of the, you know, best arguments, or one of the top arguments of the ethno-statists like to use, is that all around the world, societies fail when there's multiple races and there's huge war and conflict. And, you know, way back in the day, we fought a civil war over it, but now we actually get along quite well.
And that's
even the ethno-statists, not all of them, but most of them will say that the United States is the exception to the rule.
What identity
that the
politics
racism
looks
has
like.
caused people to come together collectively.
Let me ask you a question. Is there a single white person in America you would have let into this?
Now,
into the celebration?
I'm not Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a movement.
You're just an apologist for this.
However.
So when it got too much, where she really had nothing else to say, she must have gotten uncomfortable or something. That I don't know exactly why she just flipped on a switch, but suddenly she's not Black Lives Matter. She's been defending them this entire time, but suddenly she's not Black Lives Matter. I like his response. You're just an apologist.
However, I can respect the decision. It doesn't mean it's a decision I would have made. Maybe I would have. Just like a wedding where I might say you're...
Okay, so this decision you've been defending the whole time, you're not a part of the organization that made the decision or the movement that made it, but you're defending them the entire time, and it might not be the choice you would have made, but maybe you would have made that decision. And I mean, can you be on both sides of the coin anymore? Come on.
Your kids can't bring their badasses in my wedding.
Children are not an ethnic group. Every person in the world, it does matter.
You're discriminating against people with kids. You're saying don't bring your badass kids.
No. People without kids or people with kids can still come. It's just they have to leave the kids at home. I can't leave my race at home, you dumbass.
Would it be okay? Yeah, but you see,
and that's
okay, but there are white adults and Asian adults and Hispanic adults, and presumably they're basically the same as black adults, but you don't agree with that.
We have gay pride parades. We have Puerto Rican day parades. We have
non-Puerto
all
Ricans
kinds of
are allowed
parades
and non-gays are allowed.
Yeah, exactly. You can have these quote-unquote days or these events, like a gay parade or something, and then allow straight people to join them, or on the Puerto Rican day, you allow other races to celebrate with you. You don't like ban non-black people on when you're trying to create like a Black Memorial Day or whatever. You just celebrate, if you want to celebrate blacks specifically on that Memorial Day, but allow anybody to celebrate it, that would be a totally different story.
Honor individuals. We have Mother's Day. We have Father's Day.
Fathers are allowed to.
Yeah, on Mother's Day, fathers celebrate as well with the mothers. In fact, they go with their children and help their children pick out gifts for the mother. And guess what? On Father's Day, the same thing happens where mothers go with the children and help pick out stuff and get their father's stuff and have a big event, and they all celebrate together. I mean, it's not like, oh, sorry, hon, today is Father's Day, so you kind of have to leave because this is a father-only space. How fucking boring would Father's Day be if the mother couldn't be there to celebrate with them? I mean, my God, this is a professor.
Participate
just take
in
your
that.
mama out,
I'm not sure you're even capable of having this conversation, so I'm going to end it now. Let me just ask you one last. Let me ask you one last.
Look how childlike she's acting, and I actually totally agree. I mean, they've been going at it for 6 minutes. This was the perfect time to end it. She's acting completely childish, like she's been exposed. The conversation is going nowhere. She's filibustering half the time, so it was the perfect time to finish it, and the act was getting old. At first it's kind of humorous, then it's kind of disgusting, and then it's just kind of old.
Question, and be totally honest with this. Do the people in your world, your parents, your siblings, your kids, your friends, do they agree with you on this?
My family respects my right to free speech.
No, don't give me that dumb answer. I mean, do they agree with
right to free speech? That's her answer. Does that mean that? I mean, what I would take from that is they don't agree with her, and that's That's good to know.
What you just said, though. Do you know a lot of people who agree with what you just said? Whatever. No one's contesting it.
Stop. Stop with that.
Do you know a lot of people who agree with you?
This part's funny coming up. Listen to it. So she's saying that he's going to be talking to her again.
Tucker, I'm going to see you again in less than a month. Ratings are going up.
I don't even know what you're talking about, and I'm not sure I look forward to it. But
I don't even know what you're talking about, and I'm not sure I look forward to it. Tucker Carlson is like, are you fucking kidding me? I think if I was him, I'd be having a conversation with the producer, like, can't we get a better guest? He's just like dumbfounded.
Thanks for coming on tonight, Lisa. A U.S. senator has come up with a novel.
So that was that. But as you can see down here, well, I'll skim through this. It says a former professor at Essex County College which is this woman, was indefinitely suspended 2 days after her heated appearance on Tucker Carlson Tonight. Lisa Durden was told that she had to cancel her classes and report to Essex County College's Human Resources Department 2 days after a June 6th appearance on the primetime Fox News show. School officials then indefinitely suspended her. This is what schools should be doing, and it's good to hear that some schools are taking action. I don't care if you're a progressive or conservative or liberal school, libertarian school, whatever. This kind of talk is unacceptable, and it raises serious questions about whether you can teach the white students and the Asian students and the Native American students when you have, you know, these basically black supremacist viewpoints, and that teachers need to be, you know, unbiased and fair to all. And can she really be fair in her grading to all different races of students? I think it's a legitimate question. Durden went off on the show in defense of a black-only Memorial Day party organized by Black Lives Matter, dodging a direct question from Carlson on whether it's okay to exclude people based on race. After the show, Durden received a letter from the Vice President for Academic Affairs at Essex County College informing her that she was suspended until further notice. The letter doesn't mention the appearance on Carl's show, but Durden said that it was brought up several times throughout a meeting between her and the HR department. In his meeting, Karen Bridget, the assistant director of HR, told Durden that someone complained about her association with college during the television show appearance. My guess is this isn't a student complaining. This is probably the alumni, because it's really when the alumni who gives lots of the money, when they start complaining about association with the college, that's not the way like students would really word it. Students would be more like, you know, I'm not comfortable with her as my professor, and then maybe they could get moved to a different school or a different class if a different professor teaches it. But it wouldn't. When it's like alumni, that's when you start looking at, you know, the credibility of the school and things like that. And then it says down here, Essex County College did not immediately respond to a request for a further comment from the Daily Caller News Foundation, but I'm happy to see that they took action, and it shows that schools are changing, and Tucker Carlson is actually making a real-life difference by just bringing these people on and having them expose themselves. So, have a great day, guys.